Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Raymore City Council work session for Monday, November the 6th, 2023. We have several items on our agenda this evening. First one being the Dean Avenue meter vault, and I'll let Mr. Feuerborn start off the conversation there.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, for those of you who don't know the gentleman sitting with Mr. Crass, they are his very unsung lieutenants, Mr. Steve Welch and Mr. Trent Salisbury. So Steve is our ops manager and Trent, of course, is engineering. Both are considered assistant public works directors. And with that, we're going to have to change out. Remember with the agreement with Water District 10, we put in the very large meter vault down on Dean Avenue, kind of in the middle of the pork chop, maybe a little to the south of the middle of the pork chop. We're going to have to change that out. Mr. Crass is going to kind of explain the details of why and exactly what we're going to be doing. Mr. Crass.
So, yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago we were dealing with Water District 10 in Stonegate and Good Ranch area. As Mr. Feuerborn said, as part of that, we did enter into an agreement with them, and as part of that, we installed a water meter. It's actually at like Fox Ridge and Dean Avenue on the west side of the road. At that time, there was a lot of speculation for development occurring, what may occur in the pork chop, some of which were very significant water users. I think it's safe to say, if we recall, there was a soccer field, there was a potential for an auto plaza using a lot of water to wash cars and things like that. So we selected a water meter that would accommodate those flows without providing any kind of restriction to the flow. Recently, with the venue coming online and us starting to now bill Water District 10 for the usage, and as part of our annual the rate study that the finance department does, they look at unaccounted water, and unaccounted water is typically things that we do for maintenance activities, flushing. It's unmetered water, so it's like flushing of our hydrants, water main repairs, those type of things. They noticed that there was kind of an anomaly this year where there was a rather large amount of unaccounted for water. And then also they looked at and they compared the billings that we were receiving for the venue and other areas down along Dean Avenue compared to what we were billing and the usage we were seeing, and there was quite a discrepancy there. So we kind of dove into it a little bit, and the meter that we installed flows from 74 gallons a minute to 11,000 gallons a minute. What we found is there is a lot of the way the water is being used right now. There's a lot of water that flows less than 74 gallons a minute, so it just wasn't getting picked up. So we met with our meter supplier and found a meter that will read from 6 gallons a minute to almost 5,000 gallons a minute, which we believe will definitely meet our needs. The challenge with that is the meter is longer. It's a bigger meter, so we have to take all the piping out of the station or out of the meter vault, do some repiping, do some other valving to get it to work. We worked very close. We did bid the project out, and have been working with Bright Construction, the low bidder, and have come to a plan for that. And the cost of the modification is going to be on the order of about $68,000. Our proposal would be to bring forward a contract with Bright and then a budget amendment in December, Mr. Feuerborn. So that concludes my presentation on that, if you have any questions.
And I need to dovetail off of that. For the new bizarre condition of that settlement, we now sell water wholesale to Water District 10 through this meter. And what Mr. Crass is indicating is there is significant usage that we need to be able to pick up to bill them correctly, because they're not going to tell us they're using it. And I'm avoiding any executive session conversation that I've had with you all since we're in open session, but we have a history of Water District 10 not telling us that they have done usage. So we need to be able to, number one, keep Cal out of our meter pit, which we found out he's in there a lot. So we need to be able to lock him out of our meter pit, and we need to be sure that we're billing them for every gallon that they use. And there's also a component of this where some of the water that's going to go through this meter is actually ours for just like 8 or 9 homes that it's going to, which is a further complication that leads to the increase in the dollar. It's a bigger meter, so the entire meter pit's going to have to be changed out, as well as all the piping in the meter itself.
Is there any salvage value to the previous meter or the one we're taking out?
It's been,
I know it's been used for a while. But I was just curious if there was another entity in the area that might. Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes, we can certainly check with Core and Main.
Okay. All right. I'm just curious. Anyone else have any questions? Sonia?
Just a couple of questions. First, if you can remind me how much we spent on that originally, and second, is there any chance we could share the cost? Probably not, but worth a shot.
I think originally it was around $70,000.
We can certainly ask Water District 10 if they want to share the cost. I can predict that answer, but we'll ask somehow. Maybe it could be a takeover. Oh, wait a minute, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
It's kind of related to District 10. I read, do they have an election tomorrow for Water District 10?
Their election was last April.
It was last April. I was looking up something today, and I'm like, well, what is? They had it.
Can't remember.
August.
On it.
I can't remember.
I'll look again, but it said. All right, yeah, that's weird. Thanks.
Okay. Kevin?
Thank you. Good catch. I mean, impressed. I'm glad you look at that and, you know, found it and there's a solution. How long is the water going to be shut off? I mean, it sounds like it's going to affect quite a few people.
We're going to cut in an inline valve, which will allow us to bypass. So we'll be feeding unmetered, but we do get meter readings for the venue, but very minimal disruption.
Yes. Don?
With that being said, what area besides the venue? Because I live like right next to the venue, right off Fox Ridge there behind the creek. Is it a big impact area that would be affected by that? Or?
No, we serve all the residential properties in the Good Ranch, with the exception of the venue and Water District 10 that will then serve all of the commercial areas. So anyone that's in currently Stonegate, Wood Creek, the Meadowwood, all of those are served by us.
Yeah, Joe?
Looked it up, and there is a question on the ballot for Water District 10 tomorrow, but would that be any of the Raymore residents involved in an $8 million?
It would be. Whitetail,
We
would
have
likely.
any election? Do we have? Are we setting up polls? Has that been?
We've not been asked to.
That's interesting.
I'm sure those poles are in the county somewhere for that section out there. But I think that's really the only subdivision that's served right now by 10, isn't it? South of Hubach. Is there any of those few homes there in Prairie View? Is that what it's called?
Keeps turning off, I'm sorry. I'm not sure those are occupied. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, I think we've got 2 occupied, but I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, those are served by Water District
2 or
10.
3.
Yeah, the big deal is going to be that 10 is going to serve all of the industrial that's going in down there,
Right.
as it relates to us.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Mike. We'll move on to the Next item, which is the seasonal snow plan. I assume that football will get passed to the end of the table.
Exactly, sir. We only bring him in once while he's still on the walk.
All right.
So we want to get all his items covered at once.
Well, snow season started for us, when was snow conference? Yeah,
Mid-July?
mid-July. Yeah, yeah. So snow season this year started for us in mid-July. We sent a couple of our crew leaders to the snow conference. They brought back a lot of good information. So there's a number of new things. Kind of a football theme. This year is going to be kind of a building year. So there's a number of items there. So I think the first one I want that we're really excited about is the new GPS system that we recently installed. So I want to, if each one of you would take one of these, and then I can kind of walk you through what that is. So the we have switched from the plug-in GPS unit in the truck, or the hardwired GPS unit in the truck, to a tablet-based system. And what that's going to allow us to do is it's a lot more accurate, as you'll see when I get back into the pages here a little bit. The software provides a little more information on more of a color-coded system. So if you look at the first page, where those roads are colored orange with the key, that means a truck was in that area in the last 2 to 3 hours. So someone accessing the map, that within 2 to 3 hours there was a truck servicing that area. The next page is kind of a zoom in, where someone can just type in the upper left there just the name of a road, and it'll pop up and give you that same information. So if you want to know the last time we were on a given road, you could just type in the name and it'll pop up. That's what the public will see. We are able to see in the next one, in the admin view, we can actually see where our trucks are. And the next page, they are able to, they'll send through either from the snow desk going out to them, or from them communicating back. They can do some observations of if there's a manhole up or something, or if they get a call for on the next page, it was noted that there was a slick intersection in that. So they'll get something popping up on the tablet that says there's a slick intersection at this location, so they know to go treat that when they're next time through. One of the next page, we were having a lot of trouble with the system, the old system we were using, with the timing of the signal and how much it was bouncing back and forth, and we were finding there were huge gaps on the map. What you see here is the kind of the scribble here, because it's tablet based. That's my administrative assistant Margie walking back and forth in City Hall as she was carrying it. Just so we're seeing a lot more accuracy with it. We see a lot more ability to communicate with the trucks, have the trucks communicate back, a lot better communication with what we're pushing out to the public. And so that's the first area of our learning curve for this coming season. The next thing we're dealing with is the science of pre-treatment has really changed. It's changed significantly from just putting salt brine on the street. What we're finding, the current science has shown, you get a lot of benefit from putting down pre-wetted salt, because as soon as you're starting the catalyst, it's a catalyst that starts the reaction right away. And so what we are going to be doing this year, because that's the equipment we have, is on the red and the orange routes, we'll be using our dump trucks they have tanks on the sides of the spreaders that we can put liquid in, and then as the salt comes out of the hopper, it gets wetted. And so we will be using a combination of our regular salt brine and calcium chloride, which will significantly depress the freezing temperature of anything that's falling. So where we've, in the past few years with the type of storms we've been getting, we've been kind of relying on Mother Nature and a little bit of radiant heating to loosen things up. And typically we might get a window from, depending on what time of year it is, what the sun angle is, we might get a window from 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. We're hoping that this will buy us a couple more hours on each side, isn't that what we're, so it'll kind of almost double our snow removal time frame. One of the challenges we're having it, and we're kind of working around it, and we're looking at a better system, is there's a lot of grit in the sand, or there's a lot of grit in the road salt that just comes out of the mines, and it clogs the pumps in the tanks. So what the guys have found is they've found a combination of paint strainers and some other cheesecloth type things that they can filter through that'll get us through this year. The real solution is to get a brine making system. It's basically a hopper that you put the salt in, puts water in, and then it'll also trap the sediment. It will also brew what you need. So if you're mixing in calcium chloride, it'll pump from tank to tank and get you what you need chemically. That system's relatively expensive, and so we're kind of working through things, but we hope to have that pulled together and put a request forward for that equipment.
Yeah, you caught my, I actually asked Mr. Crass about this being a request for a budget amendment tonight. Wisely, I think they want to continue to explore to make sure we get the latest and greatest and exactly what we need by doing some interim measures this year, and then it will probably be one of the first things you see as an expansion item request for next year.
So. Send those around. Keep one. So what we plan on doing with the new chemicals is we will brine the residential streets, but we will put down pre-wetted salt as the event is evolving on what you see as the red and the orange routes on the map. And just want to kind of just run through, we plow we focus based on traffic, so we plow from the busiest streets to the least busy streets, which is why you see the priority 1 through 4 there. We run rolling 12-hour shifts. We will probably start 7 days out with equipment prep. We may not have shifts activated at that time, but we'll start getting things ready. We've divided the city into zones. The first zone is from Kentucky to Ward, from 58 to 155th Street. The next zone is 58 to Lucy Webb Road, full width of the city, and then the third zone is Lucy Webb Road to 195th Street. So if you see on the map, there's a lot of territory we cover. We cover 370 miles of road, lane miles, 225 cul-de-sacs. We have in each zone 3 dumps, 3 intermediate trucks, and 3 pickup trucks. That's not a lot of equipment for the amount of territory that the guys have to cover. Manpower, last year we were thin, this year we're anorexic. We've shaken every bush to find folks to put in a truck. Trent, we're getting him a t-shirt that says vacant because he noticed on the roster there was a spot that said vacant, and he stepped up, and he will be joining the the snow fleet this year. So
Mr. Kraus was hinting that I might have to be on a truck this year. You know the liability there. But in all seriousness, we have had to go out into the streets to find people to volunteer to do these trucks. We do not have people driving trucks who we would normally have. We're down people, but even if we had those people, well, we have more iron than we have people now to drive it. You're going to be hearing this recurring theme from me, probably up to and including some recommendations that we'll have for you all for April, because we are down people.
So I've said this year was a learning and rebuilding. Almost half of the crew has not been through an event. And so there's going to be a learning curve. Things are not going to get cleared as fast as we would like them to. Things are probably not going to get cleared to the same level that folks are accustomed to. But we'll be there, we'll fight, and we'll get it done together. But patience is really going to be the key this year. So did you have anything? That kind of concludes my presentation. If anybody's got any questions, happy to answer. And always, there's an open invitation. If any of you during an event want to come for a ride along, it really is telling.
Mr. Townsend?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Kraus, for the report, and I appreciate the update. And one of my questions I did have was staffing levels, given some of the surrounding communities voice. I saw in the news similar issues with operators. I do recall years ago, one of my peers at work, wife, worked with another municipality that they offered for them to volunteer, and I think they got a little extra money for doing it, vehicle size dependent with training. That staff was allowed to go out and plow. I don't know if that's a part of your analysis that you'll be doing next year to see if that's an opportunity to kind of help, even, with the shortages, or when we are fully staffed, there's an opportunity if there were those that wanted to participate in snow plowing services for the city, if that would be a possibility. And if there are communities that are doing it, seeing how that is the good or bad behind it.
We'll certainly look into it. The first thing that comes to my mind, as always, is risk management. But it's worth looking into. Now, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Anyone else? Yeah, Kevin?
Thank you. Do we get to keep this map? 'Cause
Yes.
I want to be able to show people. They always say the council and the mayor streets get cleared first, so I'm not a priority one. I think none of us are, so.
And we just finalized that today. It will be put up on it's going to be put up on our website along with the individual zone maps.
Anyone else have anything? Yeah, go ahead, Don.
Just a question for the staffing. Are we budgeted for these drivers and we just can't fill them, or?
We are budgeted for these drivers. We can't fill them. We're trying everything to fill them, and we need more.
Have we, because I know some communities will contract with third parties, especially like pickup trucks and all that, but I mean, literally like snowplow businesses, landscaping, that, they want to stay within the umbrella of the landscaping company, but they would be willing to offer their services like on side roads and things, maybe not major thoroughfares, but.
When the bigger the companies, when you start to get into that, as part of the contract with them, they insist that the plowing will be on their terms and not ours, which is problematic compared to if we're hiring individuals in, like seasonals, to do it, because the companies are going to do it their way, and that becomes a problem. And a real simple and good example of that is, Companies will insist that they're not going to put their blades down until there's 2 inches. We insist on 1 inch.
Did you have something?
Just as someone that has done mowing or plowing before for snow, it's a tough field to get people to actually wake up for it. They might say they'll do it, so even seasonal work is hard. So yeah, patience is something that is definitely required when trying to clear sidewalks. And as for all the residents, please stay off the roads when it's going to snow. That would make it a lot easier.
Certainly not park on the street, that's for sure. Anyone else? All right, thank you, fellas. Appreciate the presentations. Trent, try to keep it down next time, will you? Okay. All right. That's all right. Okay, so last item is board and commission appointments. So Mr. Fearborn's passing out those appointments that I'm bringing for you in front of you at the next council meeting. Planning and zoning, we have 2 members that are already there. Wards 1 and 4 have expired and are being replaced. As you know, Mr. Smith replaced Mr. Engert on the planning and zoning just recently when Mr. Engert was elected to the council, and is doing a great job. Mr. Bowie's doing a great job. He's been on there 7 or 8 years now, maybe even a few more than that, but is a great contributing member to that board. So I'm offering them up for reappointment. Parks and Recreation, Steve Troutman, goes without saying, he's been an integral part of that Parks and Rec board. Mr. Cooper is up for reappointment and has said that he would be willing to do so. And we still have 2 vacancies that we've not been able to fill because of lack of applicants for wards 1 and 3. So those 2 vacancies are still there. If either one of the award members from those 2 wards can think of anybody or encourage them. I've got one in Ward 1 that I've encouraged to put in an application. Hopefully they will. But if you can think of anybody out in your wards, I'd appreciate it. And then on to the Arts Commission. All 3 of those names have been recommended to me by Melissa, and have 2 have served, and 1 is replacing Wesley Anderson. Cheryl Cunningham, her application is attached, and she's been interviewed, and Melissa's very pleased with what she has to offer to bring to the Arts Commission. So there you have it. Those names will be on the agenda for next week. If you have any questions or concerns and you wish to talk to me one-on-one, please do so if you have anything, okay? Yeah.
Just a quick question about the vacancies. Have we ever advertised, put out information saying that we've got some openings there?
Ms. Hill and I were discussing that just today, because this is the second time on the vacancies that we have had to have that red line on here.
Yeah.
They've been vacant for 6 months. As the mayor's indicated, we may have a good candidate for one, but we need to just in general do some advertising across the board, put stuff in. So we're going to be working on that campaign.
Anyone else have any questions? Yes, Jay?
More comment. We've kind of gone through fluxes with this. At times we've had lots of people waiting and we didn't have any openings. And it seems like we've kind of gone into that term where we've had openings and nobody willing to fill them. I'm wondering if we might at least take a look at our organizational rules where we might be able to fill some of these positions with at-large positions as opposed to ward representation. To me, the ward representation is certainly more important on the city council than it is on, say, the Parks Board. I mean, you want people who are passionate about what they do, and I'm not sure that a lot of people go to their ward representative for a parks issue nearly as much as they would for, say, city council issues. Just a thought.
Anyone else have anything? If there's nothing else, we'll move on to item D, which is other. If anybody has anything other than what was on the agenda tonight they'd like to find out about, ask a question about, or offer up. If not, we do have a reason to go into executive session. I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we enter into executive session to discuss litigation and land acquisition matters.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to move into executive session. Could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Barber? Yes. Councilmember Engert?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Forster?
Yes.
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
All right, we're going into executive session, so we'll go in the other room.